Hey, this is the Content Hefe podcast. You've arrived.
Oh.
It's a good podcast.
Why are you screaming?
I don't know. Every week, we pour our hearts and souls into this show so that we can help you grow your business. That really is, we say Hefe up here. Hefe means boss in Spanish, if you didn't know. And this is the podcast where we help you Hefe up.
Hot Sound School presents Content Hefe, the podcast that helps online business owners make better content and more money. Let's Hefe up.
This episode is basically like a little mini course in a vocational school.
Yeah.
This is worth some money, this episode. So you're definitely going to want to tune in and take some notes.
Yeah. This is also the place where you can find us unedited. Well, un poquito, the editing.
Poquito on the editing.
Un poquito on the editing.
Or at least unscripted.
Unscripted.
Yes.
Yeah, there you go, unscripted.
Uh-huh.
The other content that we make is for a YouTube channel and like for educational purposes that is just different.
We're a little more dry and we read a teleprompter and
sometimes,
so it's hard to let ourselves out.
Yeah, so here you can find us raw, and this is who we are.
Yeah.
And this is how the clothes.
And if you don't like it, man, go listen to another podcast.
My jeans are tight. I can't breathe.
It fluctuates.
But I'm just going to cover.
There you go.
The midsection.
Now you know
I'm not going to cover it. If you don't like it, then go somewhere else.
She's actually not reading the paper. It's just there to cover her panza. So, what's this episode all about?
So this episode is part of a series of episodes that we are going to be releasing from this point forward. We have 5 episodes that will be talking about podcast editing that are meant to be for aspiring podcast editors or seasoned podcast editors.
Yes.
We were discussing the other day and we're like, okay, what can we do to help our podskis, our editing podskis? And also because we get so many questions regarding, how can I get into the podcast industry? How can I start working in the podcast industry? How can I make money?
Yes. And also, so many people, I think we read half of the adult working population in America right now is working side hustles. So we're all looking for side hustles right now to, bring in a little more cash, maybe something we can test out to see if it could become a full-fledged career. And podcast editing is top of the list as far as realistic side hustles that require very little experience to get going and to get going, and really are very feasible because all you need is a laptop.
Yeah.
And so it offers the luxury of remote work, working on your own terms, and it has the potential of turning into something very lucrative, meaning that like all of your financial dreams coming true, or at very least being able to pay off your car, pay off your credit card, all of that stuff.
If this is your jam, then you want to watch or listen to this episode and to the other 4 episodes as well, because we're going to be talking about how to charge more money as a podcast editor.
Yes.
How to get to be a podcast editor.
And this episode is all about marketing.
So if you are already a podcast editor or you're thinking about becoming a podcast editor, this episode is going to be very useful. You can be a freelancer or you can have a business and not have marketing. Marketing goes hand in hand with sales.
Yes.
You need to put your message out there in the world so people can see it and they can sign up for your products. That's your offer, your invitation for them to sign up.
Yes, and marketing.
It's important that you have all of the elements.
And marketing is also your packaging, which you could think of as how much you charge. So marketing is how you can attract a certain type of client or a higher paying client or a more quality client to you, or somebody that you'd actually be interested in working with. So that's the other beautiful thing about podcast editing is you get to choose who you work with. So you can find interesting podcasts and be involved in the production of a show that's going to perform really well, that's going to reach a big audience, and that's going to actually make a difference in the world. So now you can check off the fulfilling work off of your list as well too.
Yes. And so let's get to the episode. Let's get to the information.
Yes. That was a big introduction.
Yeah.
But you could tell we're pumped.
Yes, we are. And I hope you are going to take notes. If you're driving, don't.
Don't, yes. If you need the notes, we
driving,
can send you these notes. These are really good. Anytime Veronica does notes, it's amazing. It's like a little mini course. It really is. That's why I have to put mine aside, because otherwise
why do I get belittled?
I just get too much anxiety.
I wouldn't get belittled over
I
that.
do not do the belittling. I've never belittled before.
Okay. So this episode, I divided this episode in 3 parts. The first part is to how to develop your marketing message. What are the things that you need to include in your marketing message?
Okay, marketing message.
It's effective, so it converts people.
Okay. The second part?
The second part is one digital asset that you need to create when you are promoting or when you're marketing your services as a podcast editor.
Sounds good.
Like you need to, in my opinion, and we've been in this industry for a while, we've been in this business for a while, you need to have this thing.
Yes. Okay. That's number 2. And number 3?
And number 3 is ways to start getting clients online. And I'm going to tell you like things that you can start doing right away.
Yeah, like right away. And if you're looking for more clients or you're just brand new to podcast editing, you're really going to like these. So let's get to number 1, which is your marketing message.
Yes. But before we get into that, if you are thinking about getting into podcast editing, then you are thinking right, my friend.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of opportunities and there's a lot of potential for growth.
It's a high demand job.
It's a high demand job right now. I went on LinkedIn the other day and on Indeed, and there were a lot of people, a lot of businesses looking for in-house podcast editors or for editors for their agencies. They're also on Twitter. You all the time you see people trying to find a podcast editor. I went on Facebook too, Facebook groups, and then also there are people trying to find podcast editors.
Yes, and like you mentioned, the job sites like Indeed, ZipRecruiter, all of them, they have openings. Many times you'll find openings in your local area. So there's all sorts of different types of jobs and opportunities for a podcast editor, or what you could think of too as a narrative voice editor. Yeah.
And I think in the next episode, we're going to cover what are the different ways that you can work in the podcast industry as a podcast editor? Because there isn't just one way. There are like many ways that you can do it. And then the
other thing, aside from it being a high demand skill that's very high in demand, it's also a high value skill. And it's one of my favorite fundamentals of what I like to call our stackable skills. So we have a series of skills that we call stackable, which we'll be getting into in a different episode as well. But it's incredibly powerful. Once you know the basics of audio production, which you learn from podcast editing, and also narrative vocal editing, you unlock a huge potential. The value that you have is very big.
And let me tell you, podcast editing is the biggest bottleneck in podcast production when it comes to podcasters. And when it comes to, we've had students and clients. Some of our students, they're just like, okay, like we need help.
Yeah.
We need help. And somehow we have to go out there and find them an editor, because they get to a point where it's too time consuming because they're not professionals in this area. They don't want to do this for a living. They're just using their podcast for marketing. They're using their podcast for something else. So they need help. And the first person that they want to enlist is a podcast editor.
Yes. So if you haven't thought about it, or if you haven't started down that journey of podcast editing, really think about it. Listen through this episode and it'll get your wheels turning.
Yes. Okay. So let's get to the first point.
Yes.
Okay, let's pause the episode. Are you too, like 50% of Americans, looking for a side hustle to bring in some more cash, either to help pay your bills or maybe to pay off your debt, or to finally take the kids on that vacation out of the country that you've been dreaming of? There is no better side hustle to start than to become a podcast editor. Did you know that with zero experience and only a couple months of training, that a brand new podcast editor can charge a minimum of $125 per episode? So that would be $500 a month for each client. And you can expect to spend 2 hours a week per client. So there's some realistic fun math for you. If you want $2,000 extra every month, then take on 4 clients and work an additional 8 hours a week. And the work itself is meaningful and fulfilling because you're helping people to build their brand, you're working with professionals, interesting people sharing their message and their stories with a real audience. And if this is something that sparks your interest, we've created Pod Sound School's free Podcast Edit Lab. This is a hands-on learning mini course where you work to edit a professional podcast podcast episode. By the end of the free mini course, you will export your own podcast episode and submit it to us for review. So find out if you have what it takes. Go to podcastingsmart.com/free edit lab. I'll also leave the link where you're consuming this episode. Okay, now back to Content Jefe.
The first point
is to develop your marketing message. If you want to start sharing your podcast editing service with the world, it's important that you have your marketing message in place. And I know that there's a lot of you that you hear the word marketing and you cringe.
Yeah.
You think that that's not for you, that's for Coca-Cola or Nike. No, it's for all of us.
Yes.
It's for all of us who need to get clients. Do you need to get a client? Then you need marketing, my friend.
Yes.
So, and I don't know why I'm saying my friend. I'm being
like
Amy
that.
Porterfield. Amy Porterfield, yeah, I love my friend.
Well, it's fine.
I love you, Amy.
That's good. I like my friend.
Not that she's going to watch me, but just in case.
She will be watching.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So I want you to think of marketing as the way that you communicate with your clients, your prospects, your future clients. And this has to be very clear. It has to be very centered in what they need instead of what you can do or what you can offer or your credentials. Mm-hmm. And it's important because it will get you clients faster. It's important because it will bring money into your bank account faster. And it's important because you will experience faster growth. So maybe not you right now, you're a freelancer or you're thinking about being a freelancer, but then maybe you can enlist more podcast editors and have an agency.
Yes.
And grow your business.
Yes.
So you need marketing. And what do you mean, Veronica? Like what? Okay, I'm ready. Like how do I get my marketing message in place? There are 7 elements that you need for your marketing message.
Yes.
And I didn't come up with this just because, out of the blue. There are a lot of people, a lot of marketing experts that use this same framework. And the first element that you need to, out of the 7, is to have a clear idea of who your ideal client is.
Yes.
It's important to know who you're going to be offering your services to. Mm-hmm. It's important to know who are the people who you want to work with, because it will determine how much money you're going to be charging. It will determine what kind of services you're going to be offering and how you're going to be offering and the language that you're going to be using. Mm-hmm. So all of that will be determined by your ideal client, or ICA, ideal client avatar.
And being specific about it. So it's not just anyone who needs their podcast edited. It's a specific person. And people who really get into the ICA stuff, they'll usually give their ICA or their ideal listener a name, because that's how personal and how much you know your ICA. And in broad terms, you could even just say like, are they business owners? Or maybe even like the type of podcast that they create. Mm-hmm. Something that can set you apart from your competitors or from other people editing podcasts too, because you offer podcast editing for this type of person.
Yeah. Maybe you're willing to help podcasters that have an audiences of a certain size because you know that they are going to generating income. They're already making money.
Yeah.
Or you wanna help. There are different ways that you can just throw in there, like what? Just imagine, like sometimes we're just so desperate to sell our shit. We're so desperate to sell our shit that we will sell it to anybody, but that's not how it works. And then you run into problems. You're attracting the wrong people. People who are going to be questioning like why you charge so much,
and then
why you charge so little,
or you over deliver, you undercharge, which keeps you from growth. Mm-hmm. Because then you're working longer hours than you should, and you're not making the rate that you should, because you're not being specific enough about your ICA, and you're not packaging your stuff specifically for them and for their needs and their pain points.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second element you need for your marketing message is the problem that you're solving. And this is something that I want to really, really change your mindset when it comes to this. I know we've had that problem too. We've had to overcome like many insecurities and many imposter syndrome.
Every known one.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I really want, like, I wish I could be there with you. You are not just a podcast editor. When you are talking about the services that you offer on your website, on social media, on the different job posting or freelancers platforms, I want you to focus on the value that you are providing for your ICA instead of the thing that you do. Because if I describe to you the thing that I do, then I make videos for YouTube. No, I do more than that. I educate people. I provide people, I teach people the skills that they need so they can make better content, so they can reach the people that they want to reach, so they can grow their businesses, so they can have an online presence. So there are all these things that the value that I provide for them is bigger than me just making videos.
So what's an example of that in language of a podcast editor?
So, and this is just like, I'm just going to be honest. I had to ask ChatGPT because I was just getting like too emotional. I'm like, I'm going to change your life. And yeah, like if you want to put it, if you feel like what you're doing with your podcast editing service is changing people's lives, like go ahead. Go ahead and put it. Is what is the value? Like, for example, you can use something like you transform spoken words into an immersed audio experience that will make a mark on your listeners. How about that? Or I take audio editing off your plate so you can use the time to grow your business instead.
Yeah.
Or I help you translate your brand into an audio form with own brand sounds and with own brand music and sound effects.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden, see how much money I would pay for somebody who tells me I edit podcast, or somebody who tells me that he's going to translate my brand into an audio experience for my listeners with music and sound effects. Like I know that person is not just a podcast editor. That person is an artist.
Yeah. Or an audio production specialist.
Audio production specialist, and I want them on my team like desperately.
Well, the reason you do is because they hit that chord of pain you're going through.
Yeah.
So it's like, and so instead of, you could even start it with like, how podcast editing takes hours and you're not even sure if you're doing right or if it's even worth it for the 20 downloads you get every episode. Well, I take that off your plate. Or how you could like actually hit them where they're at, like where it hurts.
And yeah, the language that you use also depends on the ICA, on your ICA, because let's say that if I am your ICA, then you want to use words that make me feel like I'm hiring somebody who's going to make my podcast exclusive, who's going to make my podcast high class, who's going to make my podcast. So I'm willing to pay for high quality. So those are the trigger words that you want to use with your marketing.
Yeah, with you. If that's what's important for you. If I am
your ICA.
If Veronica was your ICA, exactly. Because Veronica will buy the Louis Vuitton.
Because I'm bougie.
Yes.
I'm bougie, and I'm not going to feel bad about it.
You don't need to. I wasn't.
No?
No.
I'm bougie.
Go for it.
Okay, so the third element is how are you qualified to solve the problem. It's very important that you that you share in your content, that you share on your website, how you are qualified to help them with their podcast editing, but you're going to do this in a different way instead of just listing all of your credentials and accolades and how fabulous you are just because that you dated the hottie back in high school.
Okay.
That you are going to use those skills, the experience that you have to help your ICA in some shape or form.
So the idea is, okay, so you don't want me to brag about the fact that I'm a really good podcast editor and that I have certification. Here's where you brag about that. But what Veronica is saying is instead of just outwardly bragging about it or listing like, I have my Pro Tools certification. I went to such and such school. In my case, like I worked in Hollywood. I was built my own recording studio and worked there for years, blah, 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 me. I'm like the best, most professional podcast editor in the world. That's great. And, that might actually work for some people. And actually, that's what I would have done on my website when I first started. And that was what was on my website when I first started. And I still got clients. But what's really more valuable is how those skills translate into helping them. And so you just sort of change that. So you would say, because of my experience, because of this experience that I have, because of my certification, this allows me to specialize in storytelling and audio branding, which will set your podcast apart from any podcast on the directory, which will put your podcast in the same category as the professionals. So you see how that's different? It's like, ooh, yeah, I need somebody like him on my team. Not that I care that he's the top engineer in the world or that he has all these amazing certifications with Pot Sound School or whoever it is. It's that they, those skills are going to help me achieve.
Yeah, what you have learned. Yeah.
Yeah. So did that help you?
Yeah, definitely. Because sometimes like, that happened to me when I was in school, when I was in law school, like how you see, those professors with all of this things that they've done in the past. And some of them, like their credentials were so impressive. But were they good at teaching? Like, were they good at what they do? So that's why it's important to translate your training into how that is going to help your ideal client.
Yeah. And to realize it's funny because when you get into marketing, what you really get into is what you really sell. And so many times, if you look at it, like what does Apple really sell? They don't sell you a phone. They sell you a lot more than that, right? And they sell you status. They sell you sort of a status and sort of technology and this ability. And they get into more subtle pain and the sense that we want to belong and we want to be in this special club, and status is so important. It's like one of the main things that you could sell, right? And so what you wind up realizing as a podcast editor that you're selling is convenience. You're selling comfort, you're selling confidence, and yes, you're selling status. And you could sell any of these main sort of pain points that all humans have. We want to be seen, we want to have status, we want to be comforted, we want to feel confident, we want to know that our brand's taken care of, we want to know that we're not making mistakes, we want to know that our quality is top notch, all of that stuff. And so that's what you're selling. You're not selling the fact that you edit podcasts.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're getting at.
Yeah, right? Yes, that's amazing. And then number 4 is, what are the 3 steps your client needs to take in order for them to sign up for your services?
Yeah, and I really like this one. And you can think of it as stepping stones almost. I've heard it said from a marketing book that we've been reading. You basically are just telling them, it's very, like you've told them, I have that problem. I'm the person you help. I have the problem you're talking about. I trust you because of the credentials you just shared with me. So now how do I sign up? Right? So now make it easy for them to sign up. Give them 3 steps. So the example that we have here is, well, first you sign up for a plan, one of my plans. Second, we have a short meeting to discuss the details of the project. And so you can learn about my onboarding and my file management system. And then third, you submit your first episode for me to edit. Boom. Cool.
No more than 3.
No more than 3 steps.
Then the next one, number 5, is calls to action. And just make it easy for people to sign up for your service.
Yes.
There should be all over your website. They should be all over your content. Or
basically a sign up here button.
Yes.
Like 6 times on your website, at least. It's very easy. And your rates are right there with it too. Don't hide how much you charge. Here's how you sign up.
And then 2 more things, the benefits that they will experience when they sign up for your services, and also the negative consequences if they don't.
Okay, so that is the last one. So the benefits is you'll free up all this time to put more time into making better episodes, or to actually spend time growing your business, to actually put your effort should be spent on things that make you money, on things that are moving the needle forward for your business. And then the stakes, or the thing that will happen if they don't sign up, or you can go back to editing you can stay editing the podcast yourself, or keep working with this person on Fiverr and not see the business growth that you're after, and never find content marketing work for you, or whatever it is, right? And it's just like, ouch.
Yeah.
And that's sort of the last thing. So to sum up that again real quick, here are the 7 main elements of your marketing message. Again, you can find this document. All you have to do is comment or leave a review of our podcast and we'll email you this document. And it is, number 1 is your ICA. Who are they? Number 2 is, what problem are you solving? Number 3 is, how are you qualified? to solve that problem. Number 4 is what are the 3 steps your client will have to take to work with you. Number 5 is the CTA. That's your big sign up here button. Number 6 is benefits they'll experience. And number 7 is what's going to happen if they don't sign up with your services. Include all those 7 things in your marketing message and you will absolutely see an increase in clients and you'll be able to charge more money.